Arsenal learn their destiny. Arsenal now understand who will be chasing them, who will be hunting them down for the Premier League title this season. Oh my God! It's Pep Guardiola and Man City, but I urge for calmness because I think Arsenal still are in pole position. If you ask any Man City fan, if you ask Pep Guardiola, would you swap to be in Arsenal's position? Of course they would. Arsenal are in pole position and Man City are not the same Man City of old. I know in the back of your mind you have nightmares of this Man City team hunting us down and finally overcoming us to win the Premier League title. But things are different now. Like, where's Kyle Walker? Where's Ederson? Where's Rodri? Where's Kevin De Bruyne? Where's Sergio Aguero? David Silva? This is still a team in transition. And although I don't overlook Man City, I know they're a capable side. Everyone in world football knows you can never write off Manchester City. But it's not the same Manchester City. They are still in transition. They are having to refresh their talent with new players. And they're now at the point where they're just hoping these players can replicate the same level of success as those players of previous eras. And that's what we're seeing right now. Man City are in transition. Arsenal are still the club to beat. Look, everyone is overreacting for Arsenal just drawing one game. Like, I was watching Charles Watts earlier and he made a brilliant point. Arsenal going into the last international break, like, they was in a worse position than they are now going into this one. In this international break, Arsenal have increased their lead on every team. It went from 3 to 4 points over some teams like Man City. So there's reasons to be optimistic. I mean, if you ask any single Arsenal fan in the world, 10 games ago, you gave them the option. You said, listen, after the next 10 games, you're going to win 9 in a row and then draw one going into the international break. There's no man or woman or child on this earth who would turn that down. And that's exactly what Arsenal have just done. If you said to them, look, in the next 10 games, you're going to win 9, you're going to go 8 clean sheets in a row, and then you're going to draw on the final game to Sunderland, most of us would have said no-brainer, absolute no-brainer, because, like I said, we've understood that we have done what we've needed to do. We've increased our lead at the top of the table. Again, there's massive overreaction, not just from rival fans, who you can kind of expect it from, but Arsenal fans as well. But it's the same people, it's the same guys who are having to be negative to facilitate this fan base that they've built. You know, they've built their whole channel and brand around this negativity. So they're always searching for reasons. So if you go on them channels, you will find negativity because that's what their channel requires. That's what their fan base needs. But most rational thinking Arsenal fans are fully understanding that Arsenal are still in an unbelievable position. And if you're an Arsenal fan going into work today on Monday, you might have got a hard time. In fact, you probably did, because there would have been Liverpool fans, Man United fans, Man City fans, all waiting, Chelsea fans, Tottenham fans, all waiting, praying for an Arsenal slip-up. Because like I said in yesterday's video, they've been waiting about 2 or 3 months just to have a pop at Arsenal, because they've had nothing to speak about in terms of negativity over the past 10 games, because Arsenal have been flawless. Like I said, we've won the previous 10. We've had 8 clean sheets in a row. There's been 0 reasons to poke fun at Arsenal. The only thing they've been able to say is, oh, look, you're boring. You're anti-football. You rely on set pieces way too much. You can't be enjoying this brand of football that Mikel Arteta is dishing out every single week. That's the only thing they can say to us. And it's always like, well, we're winning. If your team had the option to play like Arsenal did and be that consistent, be that efficient, you wouldn't take it. And they will always say no, but deep down they know, they crave to be in Arsenal's position. I think that's the position that most people find themselves in. Rival fans, they know that they would swap their club, their team, their selection, assembled players. They would swap with Arsenal because Arsenal are the team to aim for right now in Premier League football. Again, you've got some brilliant teams. Chelsea are looking like maybe they can do something. Liverpool, we know they're a good side, but they're struggling this season. It's a trend with Liverpool. Even when Jurgen Klopp was there, they won the Premier League. And the next season, they always fell back. It's kind of a pattern that you see emerging with Liverpool. That's why, like I said at the beginning of the season, my prediction was Arsenal versus Man City will be battling for this season's Premier League title. And people can say, well, you're just saying that. And the benefit that I have is I document every video. It's on the channel. I literally have the receipts. So if you go back and watch them, you will hear me say Man City will be the team to challenge Arsenal. In that very same video, you will hear me saying Sunderland are going to be my dark horse team this season. I think Sunderland are the team to watch out for. The videos are on the channel. So this isn't a massive shock to me. Now, look, I say that to say, look, I didn't expect Sunderland to be this good. But Sunderland are a decent team. They will still take points off good Premier League teams this season. Man City are not going to go the rest of the season unbeaten. And that is kind of a concern, a genuine concern I hear from Arsenal fans. I've spoke to a few of my friends today and they're like, listen, we're in a good position. I'm happy with where we are. Drawing to Sunderland isn't too bad. But I would rather it not be Man City and Pep Guardiola chasing us. And look, I hear that. Totally understand you don't want Man City and Pep Guardiola chasing you down because we've seen the result of that in previous seasons. We know what they're capable of. But at the same time, all I would say is it doesn't matter who's chasing us down. If you want to be the best team in the Premier League, you have to overcome all challenges. And unfortunately, that includes Pep Guardiola and this Man City team. So it doesn't matter what Man City do. If you are to be the Premier League champions, you have to be better than that team. So if most people are at the beginning of the season hoping and saying Arsenal should win the league this season, that should be regardless of Pep Guardiola and Man City, because you are basically saying we are now the best team in this league. And in my opinion, that is genuinely true. I don't think Liverpool are better than us. I don't think Man City are better than us. That don't mean I'm right, by the way. Look, I've been wrong in my predictions previously, so I'm not sitting up here and saying everything I say is true. But Man City and Liverpool, I don't see them as much of a threat as they would have been 2, 3, 4 seasons ago. Certainly Man City, like I said, with all those players, they're in transition. Liverpool as well. They still have most of the same players from that. They're obviously missing Trent, some other players as well. But you look at the core of that team. You look at Van Dijk. You look at Mo Salah. I mean, they're bringing in players like Havertz. But if you look at the old players, like I said, Mo Salah and Van Dijk, they're still world-class players. But they're 5 years older. So they're still not going to be at that top level that they was 5 seasons ago, because they've got more minutes in their legs. They're getting older. And that's just what happens. As you get past that 30-year-old mark, whether your mind wants to or not, your body doesn't keep up with what your legs want them to do. It's just the way it works. As you get older, you regress. That's why when you see players in their early to pushing mid-30s, they move on from that club where they've been so successful, because they understand they're not the same player and they don't want to kill their legacy. I think we're seeing that with Mo Salah and Van Dijk. Again, they might still have one final season in them. But my prediction is they don't, because I think we saw that last season. I think last season was their last hurrah. They brought in some great players, what they thought anyway, in the summer transfer window. We saw what they done with this transfer window. They made a mockery of it. They spent 500 million. They smashed the British transfer record twice, signing Havertz and Isak. And those players haven't hit the ground running. So they have done everything they can to try and secure the Premier League title. But it just doesn't always work out that way. You don't always get the rub of the green. The luck isn't always in your favour. Not every player that you buy will be a hit. We've seen countless examples at Arsenal on a much smaller level, of course, because we haven't spent those types of sums. We brought in Declan Rice, and he's just a phenom. Instead of decreasing in value, which basically every other £100 million player that I can think of has, Declan Rice's his how much he's worth has definitely gone up. I mean, the reports are floating about. Real Madrid are going to be looking to sign Declan Rice in the summer. These are rumours Arsenal fans are used to, because we're seeing them with players like William Saliba. When you have the best players in the world, teams are going to be circling. Teams are going to want to sign your players because they understand they are the best in class. Declan Rice right now is the best in class. Look, Arsenal are in a good position in this international break. We have to hope and pray that we don't get any injuries to any of our players, really. I know we've got the boost that after the international break, we've got some players coming back from injury. So there are reasons to be excited. You think of adding Martin Ødegaard to this team. And I've said previously, I think since the absence of Martin Ødegaard, the creativity problem. What most people point at Martin Ødegaard and say you should be creating way more in this Arsenal side. I think we've seen just how important Martin Ødegaard is since he's been missing. Now, we've still been able to get through games, but I still think there's a level of creativity missing that Martin Ødegaard offers. Look, he's not on point every single game, but the silkiness, the quick 1-2s, the quick thinking, he's always 3 or 4 steps ahead, Martin Ødegaard. And when you are in those attacking phases, having a player like that who can see runs, who can see movement, and who can see gaps, I think obviously will help Arsenal when he comes back. Players like Havertz, players like Gyökeres. Havertz would have been good coming back on his own without missing Victor Gyökeres. The fact we're missing Gyökeres and Havertz and Gabriel Jesus is just mental. You've got 3 strikers who start for pretty much most Premier League sides. You've got all of them out, and all of them are due to come back probably by the end of November. Do you know how much of a strong position that puts Arsenal in? People have said about Arsenal recently, you guys are so lacking in those forward areas, and we've always had the same thing to say. Well, of course we are. We don't have a striker. We're playing with a career CDM as a centre forward, a player who most of us love, by the way, and we see him play centre forward, and he can do it. But the point still stands that he's not a centre forward. He's not Gabriel Jesus, and Gabriel Jesus isn't even an out-and-out centre forward. He's not a Kai Havertz, and he certainly isn't an out-and-out centre forward, and he certainly isn't Victor Gyökeres, a player who has been growing ever since he moved into Arsenal, a player that showed he's more than just a finisher. We know he can score goals, but the way he stretches defences in a way that Mikel Merino is unable to do that. Mikel Merino is great for popping up in moments, angling the foot, one-touch finishes. Mikel Arteta come out and said his one-touch finishing is exceptional, but he doesn't have the attributes that an out-and-out centre-forward has in terms of occupying those defenders and making them spread so other players can move through the gaps. Victor Gyökeres has been doing that his whole career, and it's not something you can learn in a 4-week period. It just doesn't work like that. You need to be playing that position on a consistent basis to learn that position. And Mikel Merino, since he's come in, it has been brilliant, but he's not an out-and-out centre-forward. We got players like Trossard coming alive. We got players like Eze. When we get Madueke back, if Saka isn't doing the business, after 60 minutes, you've got the opportunity to switch him out and bring Madueke on. Madueke was so effective when he first come into Arsenal. I was saying, even with players like Saka, the way that Madueke was having that confidence to go past the player was the best in the Arsenal team in terms of dribbling. I always thought one of Arsenal's best dribbler in terms of creating those dangerous situations was Gabriel Martinelli. But when I saw Madueke, I'm like, this guy might just be the next level up. He's so dangerous. The amount of times he successfully took on his guy was crazy. He would do it 5, 6, 7 times every single match, and every time he got the ball, he was going back for more. Martinelli does it in spurts, and then he kind of picks and chooses his moments, but it was every time Madueke got the ball, he was going in behind, creating danger, creating a moment. It didn't come to something every time, but the more times you knock on the door, someone will inevitably have to let you in at some point. So Madueke having that option back is brilliant. We've spoke about Odegaard, the strikers. This team is in such a good position, and I don't want any more injuries in this Arsenal squad. We know the fixtures we've got when we come back. We've got Tottenham, then you've got Bayern Munich, then you've got Chelsea. You look at Liverpool's fixtures. They've got who have they got? I think they got Forest first, and then they've got I can't even see where it is now. I know they got Forest, and then they got a couple of games where you're looking at and you're thinking they should be picking up maximum points here. It's not going to be easy. Man City as well. Arsenal have the trickiest fixtures out of the 3 of us, for sure. So we just need to, get through this international break, get these players back, and just keep grinding out these results. If anyone can point fingers at Arsenal, the one thing you can't call them is efficient. You can't call them, you can't say we're not efficient. You can't say we're not grinding out these results, because over the past 10, 11 games, it's exactly what we've been doing. So yes, it might be Man City chasing us down, but it doesn't matter who's chasing us down. It could be Man City, Liverpool, Real Madrid. As long as we keep focused, as long as we get these players back, we should be better than all these teams. That's the way I look at it. But let me know your thoughts on everything you've heard in this video. Thanks so much to everyone for watching and listening. Before you go, if you could, just hit like and subscribe, and I'll speak to you all in tomorrow's video. Gooners, have a good day.